Hello everyone, I'm here with you today with a brand new video, except I am lying to you. It was a ruse, and what you are currently seeing on the screen is in fact footage from my previous video where I softlocked Hornet with sticks forever. One of my favorites, of course, because any opportunity to spend more time with sticks is a wonderful time indeed. But I am showing you this footage because it introduces a very important concept to all of you watching right now, and that is the concept of bench storage. It is a glitch that I recently discovered that, when used, lets you change your crests and do many other things as if you were sitting on a bench while running around the world. And as you see right now, one of the things that bench storage allows you to do is float in the air. And this ability is important for today's video because I was thinking about another potential softlock utilizing this ability. You see, right now, I was able to make it all the way to sticks without cling grip through the use of bench storage floating. And if I can make it here, this is around halfway to Bilewater. And while it would be easy to just leave Hornet in loving embrace of a great caretaker like Sticks, it's too easy. I wanted to challenge myself with the softlock, where not only am I not just stuck in a room forever, I will be stuck in a room right here on the map, with a very easy and obvious way to leave. Two actually. One to the left. You can just go to the left even without cling grip and escape, can't you? And if you can't do that, why not just take the Bellway that is right at the bench I am planning to be softlocked at? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you will see, because I'm going to show you how I can set things up perfectly to make it so that even with these obvious manners of escaping this location in Bilewater, Hornet will be trapped among the bile for the rest of her life. Okay, with my recap gotten out of the way, it should be clear to you how I was able to get to this area with bench storage, which you could see there, and without the cling grip. Now, for this softlock to work properly, it is important not just that I don't have the cling grip. I need the Reaper crest, obviously, to get here using bench storage. However, I also need to not have the needle in, and the only abilities I have are Swift Step and the Drifter's Cloak. In addition to that, for this softlock to be possible, I need a very specific amount of rosary beads. I need between 60 and 80 rosary beads. I need at least 60, and I cannot have 80. Do we have that understood, ladies and gentlemen? Alright, you may be asking for an explanation. You will get none right now. You will get one in the future. I am trying to build tension as you question what I am going for. Although if you know this game well enough, you probably have a good idea what I'm going for. But, all that aside, we will not be picking up anything. We will not really even be fighting enemies. And because we have bench storage, we don't really have to worry about dodging enemies. We can just heal ourselves whenever by opening the menu to the crest tab and closing it. It's a side effect of the game thinking we're always taking a nice rest, even when we're running around in the world. So, we're in a pretty advantageous position in terms of exploration, you may think. And while we certainly are for healing, we are not in many other ways. Sadly, we cannot go down and see Sticks. Instead, we will come up here, and we will be very careful to float down to that platform with the item. Without cling grip, all movement becomes much more precarious in areas where the game expects you to be able to jump off of the walls. Now, this is my first time in Bilewater, and that's important because this platform is here. The first time you go on it, it will go down. And once it goes down, we have no means of getting into Bilewater proper without the cling grip. And even as it stands now, Bilewater is not meant to be traversed without the cling grip. And I got here with bench storage. I will say this, if you are lucky enough and you are careful enough with your platforming, you can get through all of Bilewater without needing to use bench storage to fly. And I'm hoping to do so, because bench storage flying is very dangerous. The second you do it, you lose control. The key to all of this are these pustule enemies that will float around Bilewater. The problem with them is they are random spawns, so it's never easy to plan around them. Fortunately, they are aggressive, and they have a lot of HP, meaning you can pogo off them very well using the Reaper Crest. A crest that I have learned to love ever since I've seen its incredible capability for platforming. So as you can see, we can get through the first room perfectly fine in Bilewater with no cling grip. The second room, however, is where things start to get tricky. I got lucky here, and I got an enemy to spawn right where I could pogo off of it and get me up to higher platforms. At this point, you need to do a lot of goading if you want to get up this platform, because in case you haven't seen this room before, this room in Bilewater is one upwards tunnel. It is literally designed for you to just bounce off the walls over and over again to get to the top of this screen. Fortunately, Team Cherry made a robust platforming system, so we don't have to do that. I say as I failed to do that. But because we are in Bilewater, all of this area's downfall and worst aspects are to our benefit. In cases where everyone tends to complain about Bilewater, they will almost always mention the randomized enemies, the fact that enemies respawn, and just everything about the enemies. Nobody likes the enemies in Bilewater, I'm gonna be honest. But for my purposes, I'm learning to love them. I think the Reaper Crest has changed my outlook on life. I'm questioning everything I thought I hated, and I'm learning the good parts of it all. And because this new open-minded outlook is taking form, it is showing me that I can utilize the infinitely spawning enemies in their random locations to follow me around and get me up crazy amounts of vertical distance without the ability to cling onto the wall at all. So that previous room wasn't even the worst part of Bilewater. And sadly, the worst part is coming up. There is one jump in this room that's fully impossible to make without the cling grip, and you're seeing it right in front of you, everyone. So yeah, it's so close to being done without cling grip, but sadly it is necessary. And this is not a room with the floating enemies that follow you around, so I can't really goad them into a position I can pogo them well. So if you want to go to this area, you're gonna need to find some way up this specific platform, because cling grip is an expectation. It's just something we don't have if we want to make a softlock work in Bilewater. So in this attempt, I decided, you know what, I have bench storage, why don't I just use it? And you're gonna see why that was not a great idea, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. And the second I did that, to add insult to injury, an enemy spawned that I could have pogoed off of. So, hey, I learned a valuable lesson. Don't be too hasty. I could have waited for that enemy. Instead, I am here now. I'll see you in a sec. Something else to remember at your foray through Bilewater is that the enemy spawns are random. However, they entirely re-randomize every time you leave the room and come back. This enemy wasn't here in my run back. It is here now. Always reset the room if enemies aren't in an advantageous position for you to pogo off of them, because the run back is brutal and you can use every advantage you can get. It genuinely took me around 20 minutes to get back here, so please like and subscribe if you hadn't. What you just saw by me failing there is that enemies can spawn for you to pogo off them and get over this impassable platform, but only if you're lucky, and if you're skilled enough to take advantage of them when they appear, which I apparently am not. Correct! However, these enemies, while a lot more annoying to deal with than the flying ones, can also be respawned and re-randomized just by running out of the room. As long as you don't kill them, they will continuously pop out of random areas, and hopefully one of them will pop out in front of the platform where you're trying to get on top. And that'll usually happen as long as you continually run across the room. So yeah, this is way easier than I made it out to be. And I came into this video thinking I'd need to abuse the hell out of bench storage and the Reaper Crest float, but I'm really happy that I'm not. Bench storage is still needed to get past the first section of Sinner's Road, but otherwise, you can do all of Bilewater glitchless, which is insane to me. just with the Reaper Crest with good positioning. This room also is set up so that it would require some cling gripping. However, simply because these floating enemies exist, walls are kind of a suggestion to us. These are the best vertical height tools in the game, just these enemies, it's crazy. And with that, we have essentially reached our destination. And I'm going to begin to show you why this is a bad thing for Hornet, and a great thing for everyone who likes this content. We've overcome all of our hurdles now, and we are making our way to our final resting location in this save file of Hollow Knight Silksong. We come to this room, and you notice we can insert rosaries in 2 different receptacles, one costing 60, one costing 80. You understand what my point is now, ladies and gentlemen. We are only bringing enough rosaries to get the bench. We are paying for our save slot and our permanent vacation home in Bilewater. A lovely place to get away to. And it is a bit expensive. And by sitting down, we've turned off our bench storage. But hey, at least we've got a nice place to relax, take a load off, get away from the maggots, and to never have rosary beads ever again. Because we cannot afford to free our Bell Beast partner and have her get us out of here. Now maybe we could if we had any enemies around who dropped rosary beads, but in case you didn't know, no enemy in Bilewater drops rosary beads. And as you can see with me jumping around there, we don't have the cling grip and we no longer have bench storage, so how are we supposed to get out of here? But I did say that it wasn't as simple as just locking us in one place forever. Random enemies spawn in Bilewater, and this enemy seems so close to us that we should just be able to taunt and get him to come down to us, right? Wrong. I have worked at this enemy for dozens and dozens of minutes, and even though it seems by all reasonable accounts we should be able to draw its attention, I have never been able to. I don't have any tools, so I can't like throw tacks somewhere, and I can't use anything like the Pimpillo to shoot upwards and maybe hit the enemy. All I have is the Reaper Crest and the Hunter Crest, but the Reaper Crest has a greater reach. I just spent so much time jumping up and trying to draw the enemy's attention, taunting. This carriage is by far the closest area we can get to that enemy, and it just will not pay attention to us. Genuinely, I thought when I first got here, oh ye gods, my softlock is ruined. It's an easy escape. But nope, I have never been able to get the attention I need to get Hornet out of here. Which, hey, I'm not complaining about that, ladies and gents. That's a win for me. So, what's left? If you think about it, going up towards the entrance path is an obvious way to escape a softlock, but I might have been ignoring a massive mist-filled area sized hole in the wall when I considered this softlock. Because you see, this area connects directly to the mist. And the mist, in case you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, it's an area that lets you go right to the Citadel, and it also connects to Sinner's Road by going downwards. And it's behind a breakable wall that is in fact breakable from the very location of our softlock. So, not really much of a softlock, is it, Kilroy, when it has a blatantly breakable wall that you can just go through and leave? Well, dear viewer, dear viewer, that may be true if this game was programmed slightly differently. Because as things stand, going through the mist, Team Cherry expects you to have the needle in so that you can guide all these beautiful butterflies around and they can show you where the exit is. Now, there's nothing stopping you from going through any exit in the mist, even without the needle in. The needle in isn't exactly a key that unlocks the exits from existing at all. However, I say that ironically, as it almost is a key that unlocks all the exits. In the code of the game, Team Cherry have programmed it so that none of the mist exits are the correct exit, unless you have the needle in. Once you have the needle in, you can make it through the entirety of the mist by just guessing randomly if you get lucky enough and keep choosing the correct exit. However, Team Cherry wanted to make it so that players who have not gotten the needle in could not make it through the mist by just guessing. And so to guide against that, they have completely locked off completion of the mist to players needing to own the needle in first. And that means I have given myself access to a massive, sprawling area that is, for all intents and purposes, another softlock. Well, what are we left with now in our location? We can't really draw an enemy down here, so even if we wanted to try and pogo off of our cocoon, we do not have the ability to do that anywhere except the mist. And in the mist, our traversal abilities straight up don't matter, because no matter how well we can get at our pogoing, we are never going to have an exit that works because we don't have the needle in. Our only path out is up, and for some reason it is very hard to get an enemy to spawn exactly where I want here. But even if I could get an enemy to spawn up there, I have shown you it will not come down to me. Now I'm still not 1000% convinced there is no situation where you can draw this enemy's attention. However, for anyone who is doing this challenge and wants to prove me wrong, note that you must come here with no tools, nothing that you can throw upwards at the enemy. The only silk skill I have is the silk sphere, so that doesn't really help you for anything. This is all you have to get out of here. And for my testing, you can't really draw its attention to you with all that I have described. You can't go out the west because the mist is a maze. And it's the maze that it was always meant to be. One that's unsolvable. Hornet can spend her time either wandering around the mist, talking to wraiths, maybe gathering some silk, but endlessly walking through a pathway that goes nowhere. Or she can stay here in Bilewater. You know, she's got a nice bath of maggots available to her. She has a bench that I very generously paid for to give her some music, give her an area to wash off the maggots if they get to be too much. She has no way to gain rosaries, because the wraiths do not drop rosaries. Rosaries don't spawn in the mist, and even if I could get access to an enemy in Bilewater, which I can't, none of them drop rosary beads. So, what we have left is a nice little plot of land, all to Hornet. Parts of it having no enemies, other parts of it having the wraiths of the Phantom, who are haunting the world and trying to steal all of the silk out of Hornet's shell. So yeah, this is not the worst ending I've ever given Hornet. It's not a great one either. It is what it is. It's a complicated setup that I'm very happy with, given how many factors go into it. And really, I've always wanted to do a softlock in Bilewater, so I'm happy I got one done. Thank you for watching, everyone. Have a good day.